In the procure to pay process, let us assume that the supplier has been given a purchase order and that purchase order has to be fulfilled. Okay, so the supplier is fulfilling that purchase order and then sending it to the company. So when the items are shipped or the services are given, delivered, then there is a receipt that is recorded in the system saying that, okay, we ordered 100 items in the purchase order. Out of those 150 items were received, or 25 items were received, or 30 items were received. Okay. For doing that, we need to go to the payables module first. So for that, we'll go to payables. Under payables, you will get the payables dashboard, which will show you everything about the payables. It's like one single place where you can see everything. So you have approval from others, rejected, invoices on hold, installments. So everything you can see in one single place. And if you want to create any invoices, we go to the invoice. There are different types of invoices. The most common one is the standard invoice, where the invoice is received from the supplier and entered in the system. Nowadays, these can be scanned and uploaded also, or email transactions can also be directly uploaded into the system. On the right-hand side, you have the task where you can see all invoice-related functions here, creating invoices, uploading invoices, and then creating recurring invoices, accounting for these. Okay, anything relating to assets or managing the payables periods also. Just like we had GL periods, here also you can have payables periods where people can create invoices only in open invoice in the invoice period, and they are transferred to GL. Eventually, all financial transactions have to go to GL in the form of journals. Okay. Now let us see the next one. This is for searching either by invoice number or by a supplier name or by supplier site. This is the place for all your reports. You can go from here to analytics. You can look at the different reports and analytics that are available, and you can run those reports from here. Okay. And the final one is if you want to do any kind of matching in that document procure to pay process that I have shared with you, there is a matching process where you can match the purchase order with the invoice. What will you match? One is the price, other is the units, quantity. Got it? So let's say we have the invoices here and we want to create an invoice. So first, let us pick up US1 business unit. You can also pick up a PO, and based on the PO, other information will default here. That's also possible. And then next thing is to get the supplier. So let's say I pick the same supplier that I created. Supplier and supplier site, these are mandatory. Without it, you will not be able to create it. Okay, remember that. Next is the invoice number. So let's say I have it as 001. The value of this is, let's say, $10,000. Here you can see different types of invoices. One is the standard invoice, which is something that we have received from the supplier, and that we are entering in the system, uploading. Or prepayment. Prepayment is like a advance that has been paid to the supplier. So, or in some cases you have a contract for 100 laptops. then the company will say, okay, you pay me 20% as earnest money, or you pay me 20% in advance, then remaining you can pay over a period of time. In this way, you can have different invoices. So first, let us enter a standard invoice. And this is the date, this is the payment terms. Okay, payment term can be immediate, 15 days, 30 days. That means after how many days the invoice becomes payable. Now, here you can create additional lines for your invoice. Okay, one invoice can have multiple lines. It's like you go to a shop, you buy a desktop, you buy a printer, you buy a scanner and printer, you buy a wireless keyboard, you buy a wireless mouse. So those are all different items that you get here. If there is any mismatch between the invoice information that you enter in the header and the lines, system will not allow you to proceed. System will put a block on it. Okay. So at the bottom, you can see the summary. This is the total of the items. This is the total of the amount. ও বাবা, আপনি চলে যান, ঠিক আছে, আপনি চলে যান। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে। ও ঠিক আছে। Okay, so this is what it is. And any accounting information that you're entering here has to be entered. If it is like project related, you enter the project information. If it is asset related, if it is purchase order related, all the information from the other modules can be linked here. Okay. Another important thing that you must have is the accounting information over here. Okay, drag it a bit. You will be able to see one field here. Okay, so this is the field which will open up your key flex field. This is the accounting key flex field. So let's say I am pulling up an item here, or you can choose a corresponding account here. Let me just choose this inventory material value. So this is my accounting that is happening. Okay. So now you see the summary here. Total of the item is this. Total of my invoice amount is this. Okay. And this is my distribution. So the next step will be to do here, if you come to invoice actions right at the top, you have to validate it. Okay. Or you can also run this calculate tax option. So when you run the calculate tax, system will do the tax calculations based on the setup in the application. Then the system will send the invoice to the, for checking internally whether all the things required is there or not when you press this validate button. Okay. If there are any mismatches, then it will be put on hold where you can go and see. So let us now validate it first. So when you do a validate, system will automatically create any tax lines that are required. Okay. Now see, it will tell you needs revalidation. Why does it need revalidation? If you click on it, it will tell you. See, it is unaccounted. So there is a line variance. System has put it on hold. So where can you see the hold? You can click on manage holds and you will be able to see the holds here. See, total of invoice lines does not equal to the invoice amount. Why? Now let us see. If you scroll to the bottom again, you will see the total is 10,000 here. Tax is 900. So that means the total is 10,900. Whereas we have invoice header, we had entered 10,000 here. So what we have to do is we'll have to make the total of the invoice lines and the invoice as the same. Okay. So then we save it and we can validate it one more time. Once you validate it, system will check and they will turn the status to validated. So at this point, only after validation can you proceed further. What can you do? You can transfer this information to GL. You can do the accounting for this. You can make payments for these invoices. All right. So let us now do a post to ledger. Okay. You can do accounting in draft also, or you can do post to ledger. So when you say post to ledger, it will transfer the invoice financial information, accounting information from payables to the general ledger module. Okay. So when I click on view accounting, you will see the details of the accounting that has been generated, debit, credit. So this is an item expense. This is a non-recoverable one. This is means these are tax lines. Okay. So if you expand this, you will be able to see, this is US sales tax. This is invoice validated. Okay. This is the invoice item amount, item expense. And this is the total debit. This is the total of credit. And this account has been updated. Do you see it here? If you want to see it in view T accounts, you can see it here. It will give you like a ledger on left side and right side. Okay, left side, right side, debit and credit. Clear, everybody? These are the additional ledgers, the secondary ledgers with which this accounting will be transferred to based on the rules that have been set up. Now, since the invoice is now transferred to GL, let us go to GL and check the invoice. So for this, we'll go to General Accounting, Journals. You can search Manage Journals. Starts with journal batch accounting period based on the date. So let's say today's date, and you can give a source, you can give a batch, and based on all these categories, you can have your information created. Okay, now this is coming from payables. Okay, so that will be invoices. See, these are payables related invoices. Okay. 1023 payments, purchase invoices. So ours is 10,000. So that figure you will see here, 10,900. Can you see this here? When you click on this journal batch, you will be able to see your entire invoice, including what is the status it's posted. Okay. If you want to look at the period to date here, you can look at the totals. This is the total amount, debit, credit. Okay. And if you click on this credit amount, you will get the details. Okay. Invoice validated. This is the debit, credit. If you want to see the original transaction from GL, you can click on this view transaction, and then system will take you to the source transaction, that is original transaction that was entered in payables. So this is the invoice that was entered in payables, but you're looking at it from GL. Okay. You can't do any changes here. You can only view the details. Lot of times users, when they are entering, they see a mismatch or they have some queries, they want to go and see. Okay, then you can do this. This is the journal entry that has been generated. This is the transaction information by account. Okay, all the details are visible here. All right. So this one, we have seen the invoice from GL through the subledger accounting module. Now, let us go back to where we were in payables. This time, I'm going to enter and create a prepayment invoice. Prepayment is like an advance, and then later on, we will settle it against our standard invoice. So I go to create invoice and US1 business unit. So this is the same supplier that I created. SP002 amount is, let's say, 5,000. And this will be like a prepayment. Okay. In case of prepayment, we will see the details here. Okay. You can see the default accounting that has come up immediately because prepayment, we had entered the accounting in the supplier site assignments. Okay. So this is the 5,000 amount that I am entering against that particular. The next step is to do a validation. So I'll do a validation here. Needs revalidation. Why does it need revalidation? See, this is not accounted. One is line variance. So what is the line variance? Obviously 5450. So this has to be 450. Okay. Then you can say once again, validate. So this time it becomes unpaid because it has not yet been paid. It's a prepayment. Okay. So we'll come to invoice and we will make payment for this prepayment. How? By clicking on this pay in full. So this one, bank account, you can say BOFA, payment process profile, choose the PayPal and say submit. Okay, 5450 has been created. So now you see this is now available. That means it is available for adjustment. It has been paid. So After it has been paid, we want to apply the, sorry, this has to be against a particular standard invoice, right? So I'm going to search invoices based on the supplier. All the supplier invoices will be displayed here. Okay, so I'm going back to my standard invoice that I had originally entered SP001. That we can then adjust against, okay, edit it, and invoice actions, you can do apply, unapply, prepayment. So here what we are doing, we had an invoice of 5,000 which was paid as advance, right? Then we now have received an invoice from the supplier asking for 10,000. But out of that 10,000, 5,000 we have already paid him. Got it, everybody? So I'm going to apply that 5,000. So the net outstanding gets reduced. And how much we are going to pay him? The due amount, 5450. Out of 10,000, I am adjusting 5,450. So out of 10,900, I am adjusting 5450. The remaining amount is now due. Can you all see this? Okay. Anybody got any question? Anybody got any question? Okay. So in terms of your practice, what you will now be doing is, let me just do a quick summary. First step is create a supplier. Okay. Second, enter a address. Okay. Profile approval through Meiji. Same password. Okay. Number 4, enter a site with site assignment. Site assignment has the invoice information, has the accounting information. Okay. Everybody clear what you need to do? Next, coming to invoices. First, enter a standard invoice. With header, lines, and distribution. Distribution means accounting. Okay. Number 2, validate the invoice. Number 3, transfer to GL. Transfer and post. Number 4 step, go to GL and review the transferred invoice. Clear, everyone? This is entering. Next, you will enter. This is, you can say, like practice 1. This is the practice 2. What is practice 2? Enter a prepayment invoice with header lines and distribution. Then validate the invoice. Of course, you can transfer and post to GL also. And then next step is pay in full. So this has to be paid first. Okay. Next step is search for the standard invoice. Entered above. Okay. Then apply the prepayment invoice to the GL, to the standard invoice to reduce outstanding on the invoice. Okay. Everybody clear what you need to do? This is the practice for suppliers. This is the practice for invoices. Okay.